there's something about this event that's just going to be different. I feel it. I really do. I feel something totally different. Our past events have all been wonderful. I'm very grateful for all of them. I feel a new force coming through. I feel that the title is talking to me in a new way. I feel there's something here for all of us. This event is called Your Soul is Not for Sale. I usually don't get too caught in a theme. I usually just allow the thing to unfold and do whatever it does. But there's something about this title that, like, it's weird because we just usually when we have an event, they go, give us a title. I don't know, Soul is Not for Sale. Like, that probably is what happened 6 months ago. I don't care. Soul is not for sale. It'll be whatever it is. I don't know how to title what I'm going to have for dinner tomorrow, let alone 6 months from now. But it's almost like this event, like I connected to, okay, it's Your Soul is Not for Sale, and I just felt something inside of me go, boy, is that the talk I would love to not only say, but hear. I want to hear what this talk is about. And that might sound weird to people that don't know my work. I don't know what's going to come through. For me, that's the only way I can do this. I don't have a giant set list. I don't have anything structured. Amber, when she started dating me, heard me say that before, but didn't believe it until like we started going to events, and I'd be like, all right, well, I love you, and then pivoted to the stage, and then a 2-day event unfolded. And people often don't know how that could happen, and I don't know how the opposite could happen. I can't fathom doing a 2.5-day talk with a script. Like, I would just be insane to remember a whole weekend of content. And if you think about if you went on a trip with a friend or you went to dinner with someone, you don't have a set list, right? You just show up. So a week can go by if you're not trying to script things, right? So this to me is much more effortless. And the first thing I think I want to do is just remind you a little bit and remind myself of why our soul is not for sale. I think that's even more exciting than just proving that it isn't, but there is a world of miracles, there's a world of magic, there's a world of possibilities, there's a world of content, there's a world of next steps, there's a world of joy, there's a world of answers trying to happen. And we've trained ourselves to be more caught in have-tos, making our God more, I'll go to a job I hate, I'll stay in a connection or a friendship that doesn't align with me, I'll keep sacrificing that thing, and part of the reason is because I don't understand what it is. You know, it's hard to get someone to commit to something they haven't ever experienced before. You know, once you have a flash of a moment of grace or possibility or miracles or joy or something higher, you suddenly shift to spending your whole life wanting to get back to that feeling, right? I imagine many of the people in this audience have had a moment like that, where all of a sudden the thing they were chasing for in the physical realm didn't touch the joy and the freedom that happens when you let go of that and just have a moment you weren't planning on, and you just suddenly see a tree in a different way, or like realize everything's okay, or you just feel something that feels like God taking over, and you go, what was that? And some people have a what was that, oh well, and go back to what they think is reality. But to me, that was a glimpse of a miracle. That was a glimpse of possible. That was a glimpse of joy. That was a glimpse of freedom. And a glimpse of where you could live. Like, that's not just a flash of something that felt good. That's like a preview. It's like all of a sudden everything changes, and all of a sudden we become different than the world. You just suddenly had a moment that sounds to people like when they say they found Jesus, and you're just like different. And we all have our different invisible magical thing, but we have this glimpse of something is here. And you start to realize that what the other stuff was, what the you that has to do it right, that's scared to do it wrong, that doesn't want to be a failure to your dad in 1974, the one that's scared it'll fall apart, is not you. It's just kind of a giant collection of shame and guilt. That's what the I usually is for us. Whatever you've created to prevent, don't get mad at me, don't abandon me, don't yell at me, don't abuse me, right? All the things you had to create as a child to not get hurt by people who were your protector, but also had immense egos. Our parents did the best they could, and if we had been our parents in that time, we would have also been our parents, right? So we have empathy and understand that, but very often empaths do this thing where they understand why other people were a certain way to not know what it felt like for them, right? In other words, you can easily just go, well, my mom did the best she could, but you still forget to acknowledge what it was like for you when you were 5, and you almost use she did the best she could, which is true, but you're using it to not feel what you felt, right? And so you start to realize you don't want to feel what you felt, because if you actually felt what was in here deeper, it would dissolve. And the ego goes, well, I don't want to die. I don't want to die, so I don't want you to look in here. I don't want you to look at what's in here. So what does the ego do? It keeps you focused on everything outside. Go make money. They're going to say this about you. Imagine if that happens. World War III, Trump, Biden, whatever it is, right? It's just like focus anywhere but here. Because if you start to focus inside, you will discover that the emperor has no clothes, that there's nothing there. We are scared of the idea of scared. We're scared of a box that we believe has stuff in it, but if we opened it, it would be empty. However, we've trained ourselves for years and years and years that that box is dangerous, so no one go in here, no one focus on this box, and a lot of people have other people in their life who will not let you in their box. So what do? They preemptively start on what's wrong with you. You get what I'm saying? Because don't even think about looking in my box, but here's everything wrong with you. Here's what you do wrong, because empaths take everyone else's, here's what you're doing wrong, because they got to preemptively never have you look in their box. So you end up spending your life with these people, both of you looking in your box only. Right? You'll look in your box and you go say everything wrong with you, and then you'll go to therapy and why did I do that? And I feel sad and everything like that. But I want to even go deeper into what's inside here and notice, what we're holding up to not look in here, what we're trying to keep going to not look in here. And if we realized, oh my gosh, inside of me is a big box of shame that if it was just seen and loved, I would be free, I would see actual miracles, because things that happen defy the logic of the linear timeline that the energy of avoiding the box keeps. I don't know if that made sense right out the gate. It might be starting a little advanced, but that inside of you is an aching to be free. And we ache to be free, but to get there, we have to experience some experience of death, but is just the death of the false self. Really moving towards an awakening or any form of enlightenment or whatever is not an achievable thing. It's actually a lot of death. It's death of the story, it's death of the old relationship, it's death of who you are in that relationship, it's death of your past, it's just death. And death, once you accept it, is awesome. We just have a lot of conditioning that says don't die. And for some people's egos, die is failing in front of your dad. Don't die in that your mom will not hear you when you were a kid again, right? That's what the don't die is. Don't die in being wrong. Like the ego doesn't want to be wrong. So that's death. But I want you to just first of all embrace that death is complete reality. It's a part of life. And a lot of things can die without the body dying, right? In fact, parts of the body are dying right now, right? Like all of us right now are just, if we had the right, it's weird to think of, but if we had the right camera on us, we're just sitting here with dead cells, new ones forming, and just we're all hanging out. Later we'll be talking to people, we'll be meeting them at lunch. Oh, it's good to see you. And I just picture the right camera is just like nuts, right? Like, this is weird, that's what we do. But that's also just proof of how connected we are, We're looking through our 5 senses and just thinking of us as separate. And we're going to go into a higher realm this weekend, way higher realm. Because we're going to remind ourselves what would happen if we honor that our soul is not for sale, and remember that there is a free, miraculous, magical energy that is much closer to what you are. than the one that says, I can't, what will people think of me, I don't want to fail. These things aren't what you are. And the proof of that is those things many times in our lives have died at one level and we're still here, right? So if you have a part of you that's scared people won't understand you, and then you finally have a moment where you release it. It's okay if they don't understand me, and you're free. You just actually weren't, you just realized that one that said, I'm scared people won't understand me, it can't be you. Is that making sense? So every limitation you have this weekend, it totally needs to be heard, but I promise you, is not you. And I'll prove it all weekend. This is an amazing, intimate weekend, right? We'll be able to work with pretty much anyone that wants to in one way or another and prove to you that the number one factor of your limitations and your pain and your problems is you believe something that's not true. I want you to really take that in. It's not the circumstance. It's not it's the belief about it and that you believe something that's not true. So you might think it's that whatever, you're in a stagnant relationship, or that all your stuff was stolen, or that someone made something up about you, or whatever it is, you might think that, but it's just your soul making you face the thing that you were the most scared of to face so you could free yourself of it. Did you get that? Your soul would like you to actually just face head on to undo this fear, that thing that you're scared of, or you can meditate and face it internally. So there's two ways we get it out. The universe goes, we got stuff in you that's not true, so I got to get it out of you. One is you can meditate and identify you have that belief. You can go inward, you can follow your heart, and identify that you have a belief that's not true. And the universe would love for you to do that because you don't have to go through it. But if you have a deep fear of being abandoned, yelled at, broke, whatever it is, and you don't face it internally, the universe goes, we got to get that out of them. So if they want, we could just make them experience it because you won't be anticipating it after it happens anymore. You'll just be done worrying about it because it happened. So it goes, my only goal is to help you to let go of what's not true. And a lot of us, almost every one of us, formed a conditioning that took us away from our true essence, and that conditioning caused us to believe a bunch of things that aren't true. And those things, because we think aren't just things about us, but we think are us, caused us to get all the way to this event from before now, selling our soul in one way or another, saying yes when we truly meant no. Saying yes for the short-term pleasure, or saying yes for the don't abandon me, or saying yes for the short-term money because we think we'll take the job we don't like and sacrifice our soul for that. So we sacrifice our soul for money. Usually, if you have a high awareness, which anyone in this audience does, if you sacrifice your soul for money, the universe goes, okay, we'll make them lose both. So we'll get them to see that they made money bigger than their soul. If you sacrifice your soul for a friendship, relationship, connection, very often it goes, okay, make it fall apart. Because they're not focused on their actual connection to them. They're actually sacrificing that connection because to keep someone else happy that they don't align with, or to keep something going that isn't in their soul's calling, seems to be more important to them. So a lot of times people go, well, why does this bad stuff keep happening to me? First of all, it's not bad. It's just life getting you to your true essence. I can't fathom not knowing that in this lifetime. There's many reasons we can all be on this planet, but I would say my biggest one is to know what I truly am. I want to know what I am. I want to use this life to knock out 50 lifetimes. Like I want to get it done the best I can. I think the higher you go up in awareness, you can really, really do a lot in one life. Like a lot. And it's always different. You can do something different in the life. You don't have to be the very best at what you started. Very often I think to myself, this is why I'm not a huge fan of envisioning the future too much, because I think it's got better for you than you can come up with. If you ask the 24-year-old me what I want to do when I'm 47, I would see me as a stadium stand-up comic because I started as a comedian. And if you showed the 24-year-old me coaching women through their feelings at 47, he'd go, what the hell happened? Like, I was doing big theaters. I was doing awesome stuff. Cut to me at Rhythmia with 8 divorcees around me. What's that bringing up for you? Like, what happened to me? Right? And from his view, that wouldn't look like the best thing. But over here, I now understand from going through the adventure why this is so profound. This is so much more fulfilling than if I had done what I had planned to do. And it's not just about numbers, it's about connection, it's about depth, it's about getting to the truth of myself. It's not just distracting with comedy, it's healing with comedy. What? I thought it was a distraction. It's for people to get away from their problems for 2 hours when they go to a comedy club. No, we get to look at them and laugh. How cool is that? We get to allow laughter and tears to be felt all weekend. We're going to be crying and laughing the whole weekend. It's going to be play, but they're both a form of release, aren't they? Crying and laughter are both a form of release. So releasing is all we're going to be doing as we continue to go up. I want you to notice this space that's around you that usually we overlook. In other words, this space is actually a tangible thing. The space, the air here. This is not something to the ego that matters, because the ego goes, yeah, but what about what that person said about me? What about what I need to do later? What about my job? This doesn't matter. This is matter. It's a really high form of energy. In fact, I would offer you that it's peace. This space around you is very peaceful, right? It's a very peaceful space. But a lot of us go, yeah, this doesn't matter. I'm used to having a war in my head. So I don't like the peace that's here. I'm going to scroll through something. I'm going to go on Netflix. I'm going to get drunk. I'm going to overeat. I need to have a problem that I can fix. The ego loves to have a problem that it can fix, but remember, it needs the problem first. So the ego also will walk you into a problem so that the ego can overcome its own problem that it created. It doesn't want to receive this peace. There's no job for the ego here. This space is just healing and magical, and the ego doesn't want this. It goes, I want to get to peace, not receive peace. I want to achieve peace. But then when I achieve it, I won't receive it because I go and achieve things. So I need to undo the peace that's around me now so I can overcome and have the constant chase of peace and not receive it. And we spend a lot of our lives just going, okay, I'm going to start meditating every day. But we announce our future thing versus just starting to meditate right that second and allowing ourselves to receive the peace that's here. So the ego is at war with peace. Right? How beautiful we get to be in this event, in this beautiful, I love Omega so much. I've spoken here probably 4 or 5 different weekends now. I don't know how many, but I love it here. You have the nature, you have the space here. So even though the talks are in these certain times, I want you to also notice the star of this is the space that's around you. And there will be talks, but when you're on a break, you're just on a break from my words, but I want you to still be in session, receiving the peace that's here, receiving the nature that's here, and not searching for your yeah but that we're so addicted to. That's just right there a way that we sell our soul, right? This peace is your soul. This space is your soul. Not only is it your soul, but it's full of things like $1 million ideas, next steps, permission, new possibilities, higher levels of health. This space would love to offer you all that. But we have to receive it, and we have to say something that empaths hate saying. Please help me. Empaths like to be the ones that do it all themselves, right? They do it all themselves, and then they're very resentful, but they are always like, no, I got it. I'll do it all myself, and I'm so annoyed no one helped me. Right? That's the ego's whole life, is like, I do it all myself, and then to make sure I do it all myself, usually I'll sell my soul with who I pick as friends and partner, because since I'm the one that does everything, and I'm a people pleaser, and I'm here to make sure all the plates are spinning, I better date a narcissist or a taker or someone that I can feel validated in my being this helper, so both of us can help that person for the rest of our life, right? And point out everything wrong with me, and I can feel not enough, and I can be there for them. But if we instead go, today is the day that we start to receive beyond that character that does it all themselves. What if today, and we create an intention for the event this weekend, we start to receive help from this space? What happens if everyone just take a deep breath in and release it, and see, even if just saying this you feel emotions, just open your heart to the space around you and say, please help me.
This talk is part of a 3-day course called Your Soul Is Not For Sale. To get the entire course for $20, go to app.kylecease.com/soul.